All right, shalom, shalom, Akim. Call hello, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Wakak Wadash. This is your brothers to call you Allah, branched out here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. All right, come with another lesson to the Spirit, and Lord willingness be edifying to his elect. All right, I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, from I've grown in this truth under. Shalom to the Akim out there that's pushing the truth, that's laboring in the word, and that's pushing the gospel of the great kingdom that's to come. Shalom to the Akwath that's listening in, that's remaining true to the faith, remaining faithful and submissive to their husbands and guiding their children. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth, to you Israelite foreigners out there who live among the heathen and who look like those heathen nations. But your lineage goes back to the progenitors of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel through the line of your fathers. All right. I want to say peace and blessings to you all, Barak Thumb. Okay, so this particular vote just took place in the United Nations, and it has pretty much hit the world, by storm. All right, over social media because pretty much this atrocity, all right, that the whole world knows was an atrocity, okay, it has been denied or refused to be called an atrocity, by who, and as you can see on the screen, United States, Israel, and Argentina stand alone in opposing United Nations resolution on reparations for trafficking and enslaved African people. And this is such a misnomer because we are not African. All right. The Southern Kingdom, I should say, the Southern Kingdom of the nation of Israel are not Africans, and they do not originate from Africa. You see what I'm saying? All right. They were taken from Africa. All right. They migrated into Africa where they was taken, on the West Coast, by the way. You see what I'm saying? But the issue here, all right, the issue here is that the world is the world is acknowledging Esau's atrocities, man. You know what I'm saying? And those who are the most outspoken about this actually don't know about the full history, because the transatlantic slave trade, as it's called, all right, that slave trade didn't begin with the so-called Negroes. You see what I'm saying? It didn't begin with so-called black people. All right. It began with the northern tribes first. Okay. It began with the so-called Latinos. All right. Hispanics. It began also with the Native Americans, Seminole Indians. You see what I'm saying? All right. When Christopher Columbus, all right, had come down here in 1492, okay, they set up this slave trade market, all right, where the Northern Kingdom was first brought into servile Spain, okay, from here in the Americas, which back then was known as Arcereth, all right, over to servile Spain and Portugal, okay? And that went on for at least 100 years, before the Southern Kingdom was taken into slavery. All right. And they understood this. And I've gotten into this topic before. All right. Understanding the fact that these devils knew in order to enact the plans that they needed to enact, they had to subjugate the nation of Israel as a whole. All right, not just the Southern Kingdom, not just the Southern tribes, but the Northern tribes as well. All right. It would not be successful if they didn't have that component completed. Okay. And at that time, they knew where the southern kingdom was. They knew where the southern tribes were. They knew that they were in West Africa. You see what I'm saying? They knew that. Why did they know that? How did they know that? It's because they knew, all right, from the nobility that was in place over in Eurasia at the time, that they were in communication with the southern tribes over in West Africa. All right, and so they knew where the tribes were in Africa. All right, but they didn't know where the northern tribes were. That's why they were called the Lost 10 Tribes. Okay, that's why they were called the Lost Tribes of Israel. You see what I'm saying? So they had to go and find those lost tribes. And that was what Christopher Columbus had came here to do. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know that history. All right, but he was tasked by King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, these heathen that usurped the throne. You see what I'm saying? That took over, all right, after the the royal houses in Eurasia were taken down, okay, by the Cromwell brothers. Okay, this type of history, majority of those that are the loudest on this subject, they don't know this. All right, but nevertheless, all right, the point being is that these devils will not acknowledge their own wrong. They won't acknowledge their own wrongdoings, even when it's apparent to the entire world, for the entire world to see. Okay? Now, I'm gonna get this article real quick, and then I'm gonna share with you the words from these devils themselves. All right? Bear with me. Okay, this is from the United Nations, news.un.org. It says UN resolution urges reparations for slavery's historical wrongs, and that is not going to happen. All right, that is not going to happen. I remember saying years ago that the only time they're going to start talking about reparations and all that stuff in a serious way, in any sort of serious capacity, it's going to be when the economy is close to finished. That is going to be when the economy is just about to collapse. You see what I'm saying? Because they're not going to give you a fair shake, man. This whole vote means nothing. All right? This vote means absolutely nothing. It's just all these nations telling you that they know, that you know, that they know that this is an atrocity. You know what I'm saying? It says applause erupted in the United Nations General Assembly Hall on Wednesday as member states adopted a resolution declaring the transatlantic slave trade the greatest crime against humanity. And again, if they was to give reparations to the Southern Kingdom, all right, the so-called Negroes, they would also have to do the same to the so-called Latinos and Native Indians, all right, to the Northern Kingdom. You see what I'm saying? Not just to the Southern Kingdom, but to the Northern. All right, and this opens up it opens up a Pandora's box if you was to take this seriously, man. It says the resolution spearheaded by Ghana received 123 votes in favor. 3 countries, being Argentina, Israel, and the United States, voted against, while 52 nations abstained. And to my knowledge, these 52 nations, all right, consists primarily of European states, okay? And these European states also had a hand to play as well in our captivity, okay? It says, today we come together in solemn solidarity to affirm truth and pursue a route to healing and reparative justice. Let's see. It says for more than 400 years, millions of people were stolen from Africa, put in shackles, and shipped to the New World to toil in cotton fields and sugar and coffee plantations, under scorching heat and the crack of the whip, denied their basic humanity and even their own names. They were forced to endure generations of exploitation and repercussions that reverberate today, including persistent anti-so-called black racism and discrimination. The resolution emphasized the trafficking of enslaved Africans and racialized chattel enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity by reason of the definitive break in world history, scale, duration, systematic nature, brutality, and enduring consequences that continue to structure the lives of all people through racialized regimes of labor, property, and capital. All right. And the funniest thing is that when chattel slavery had ended, they gave the slave owners reparations, okay, for having lost all that free labor. You see, so the hypocrisy of these devils, man, and this is the thing, it's so highly spiritual that this is happening right on the eve of the Passover. It's happening right on the eve of the Passover, man. Right? So let me get this precept here real quick. Bear with me. This is Jeremiah 50, verse 33. It reads, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go." All right? So we so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Indians, I myself am from the northern tribes, all right? When we, the Judites, the Benjamites, the Levites, the Gadites, all right, the Asherites, the Manassites, the Zebulonites, so on and so forth, the Manassite, the Simeonites, the Issacharites, all right, all 12 of the tribes, man. When we was all subject to this whip, we was all subject to this ill treatment. You see what I'm saying? That in this very moment in time, these Edomites are actively attempting to hide this history, erase this history. You see what I'm saying? And the Lord is not allowing them to do that. All right, because if this thing was to go on, if these devils was to remain in power for another, 10, 15, 20 years, all right, the world would be forced to forget. You see what I'm saying? The world would be forced to forget, man. All right. So the Lord's not going to let that happen. He's not going to let that happen. All right. Their wickedness is going to be shown before the whole congregation, man. All right. Real talk. Let me get that real quick. Bear with me. All right, this is Proverbs 26 and verse 26. It says, "Whose hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation." You don't get away with this. You see what I'm saying? And this is why they're scrambling the way that they're scrambling. This is why they're moving the way they're moving. All right? It's because they've been caught. It's because the world can see them now. You know? The world can see them. The world understands that they have done wrong. Okay? The world is pointing out in real time that these 48ers are not the children of Israel. You see what I'm saying? That these Amalekites are not the people, man. You see what I'm saying? The world is pointing this out, and then at the same time, they're refusing to point out who is. You see, so like I said, this vote, all right, it doesn't mean anything. This vote doesn't mean anything. You're not going to get something from this. All right? It's going to be the same thing that is done when the talks of Gaza is in play. Okay, when the people start talking about Gaza, they don't do anything about it. They just talk. You see what I'm saying? So stop thinking that this is going to be a result of any, you know, reparations on your part. Okay? Let me get this real quick. All right, this is Luke. Luke chapter 14, verse 14. You see Yahushua speaking. It says, "And thou shalt be blessed, for they cannot recompense thee. For thou shalt be recompensed at the resurrection of the just." You're going to have to wait. Your black ass going to have to wait. You see what I'm saying? Thinking that you can take this in your hands. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's time for us to fight for our reparation. No, nigga. You going to have to wait. The Lord said, "Wait ye upon me until I rise up to the prey," man. Okay? These jokers can't recompense you. They can't give you reparations, man. They know goddamn well that if they was to pay you back for every single thing that you've done, for everything that they've made you do, everything that they've subjected you, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Indians, all right? And then what do? What about the Israelites that have been scattered all around the world? You see what I'm saying? There are descendants of these very people who are all the way out there in other nations. That means that Germany is going to have to pay reparations. That means that for all the descendants of these Israelites in Germany. All right, the same thing goes on in Japan and in China and yada 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 yada. All right, all over the place, man. All right, you think the Strait of Hormuz would crash this economy? No, if they actually really took this thing seriously and went forward in paying back everything that is owed to the Lord's children, all right, it would crash everything. It would crash everything, man. You see what I'm saying? It's the Lord that's doing this. It's the Lord that's going to come back and and you know, give us what we're due, man. What we are owed. It's the Lord that's going to do that. Not the will of man. You see what I'm saying? Because if they was to actually do that and crash everything, crash the entire economy, you see what I'm saying? How long would that money really last you? You see? And this is how you know that this is a spiritual thing. You see what I'm saying? Because if it was something just carnal in the sense of a paycheck, all right, there would be no actual, you know, no fixing the problem. There would be no fixing the problem, man. You see these jokers over there in Houston, Texas. You give all of them billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? All those YNs, billions of dollars. You see what I'm saying? All those harlots over there, billions of dollars. All these chicks, you know what I'm saying? That's listening to Sukiana, Sexy Red, and all that garbage. All right, you give them billions of dollars. Watch what happens, man. Watch what happens. Nothing. What would happen? What would happen? It would just be a rich YN. That's what would happen. It would be a rich YN. Nothing would change. You see? This is a spiritual thing first and foremost. A spiritual thing that has to take place. We have to be changed. All right? We as a nation are too far gone. Too far gone. You see? Too westernized. Too institutionalized. This has to change from within the spirit, man. All right? And we ain't coming together with some you know, some Muslims who's now got billions of dollars. We're not coming together with Kemet's, jokers who worship Allah, who worship Ra, who worship Osiris and all that garbage. All they got is just $1 billion now. Per nigga. You see how that you see? You see what I'm talking about? All right, the Lord has to come back and fix this. The Lord has to come back and change the mind of the children of Israel, man. We need new bodies. All right? We have to listen, man. With all the wealth in the world, you look at David Rockefeller. All right? All the riches in the world, and he still couldn't live. After 7 heart transplants, he still couldn't live. His multi-billion-dollar assets couldn't save him. You see what I'm saying? I just read about a multi-billionaire who died a couple weeks ago while having a surgery to enlarge his Johnson, to enlarge his penis. And he died during surgery, man. A billionaire, man. Your billions of dollars could not save you. All right? Look at Lord Jacob Rothschild. What happened to him? He croaked anyway. And he was the head of the Rothschild family. You see what I'm saying? That money's not going to do anything. But if you was to offer these same Edomites, all right, if you give me all the money in your bank account, if you give me all your assets, you give me everything that you own for eternal life, and they was able to see it tangibly, they would choose eternal life. You see what I'm saying? Just like Lazarus and the rich man. All right, when the roles were reversed, all right, and the rich man was in the place of turmoil and torment and hell, all right. He said, "Let me go back and warn my brothers, you know what I'm saying, warn my family members, you know what I'm saying, that this is a real thing." And And Abraham's bosom. Abraham said what? Said, nah, man. They got the prophets. They got the prophets. You know what I'm saying? Let me see that. Let me get this real quick. I don't want to just butcher that. Let me check. Let me just grab it real quick. Bear with me. All right, this is Luke. Luke chapter 16 and verse Luke chapter 16 and verse 20, let's start at verse 21. It says, "And desiring to be fed with the crumbs," this is you Israelites, man. This is you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Indians. "And desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table, moreover the dogs came and licked his sores." All right? All these other nations took part in it as well. All these other nations. You see what I'm saying? All these other nations. The scriptures say, what nation has not taken part in the children of Israel, man? What nation has not taken part in this? They all have. They all benefited to one degree or another. Verse 22. "And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. And the rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom." You see what I'm saying? So when the time comes, these Edomites are going to be in a place a place of servitude, in the place of being the lowest of the low. All right, all these nations are going to be laughing at him. All these nations are going to be looking at him sideways, cussing at his ass. All right, sticking their foot up his ass. You see what I'm saying? And when it's time for all this to be said and done, these other nations are going to go and live in peace, while your ass you're not going to live in peace no more, man. You're going to be destroyed. You're going to be destroyed. You're not going to live in peace. You're going to be working and toiling and slaving away for 1,000 years until it's finally time for you to be eradicated. You see what I'm saying? And these goofy ass Christians and all these weak ass Israelites don't want to talk about that. But that's the truth. Verse 24. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things, but now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed. You see what I'm saying? Meaning there's going to be a major gap. The way that the whole wealth gap is with us and these Edomites, oh boy, these jokers ain't going to have nothing. They will have less than nothing. You see what I'm saying? Less than nothing. And we, the children of Israel, beginning with the 144,000 under King David, who will be under Yahushai, all right, and the rest of the multitude, and even the 2/3 that come back through the loins of the elect, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. These Edomites are going to be tormented in the worst conditions. And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot. You won't be able to close this gap. You won't be able to close this gap. You see what I'm saying? Here it is, we the lowly niggas, spicks, wetback tontos. All right, we done closed this. We're closing the gap, man. We catching up to you. You see what I'm saying? We catching up to you. And your average everyday Edomite is out here crying and screaming. You see what I'm saying? And feeling the crunch of not being able to pay next month's rent. You see? But this gap, it's going to be unpassable. You won't be able to close this gap, man. All right? Verse 27. Then he said, I pray thee therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house, that thou shouldest send him to my father's house. Right? For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come unto this place of torment. And Abraham said unto him, They have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. And he said, Nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. You know what I'm saying? And he said unto him, If they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. That's how hard-headed Esau is. That's how prideful these Edomites truly are. And you about to hear this. You about to hear it coming from these devils, from the representative of these devils. Let it hear. Let this joker say it himself, man. All right. As a matter of fact, before I grab that, real quick, bear with me. All right, this is Job. Job chapter 15 and verse 6. It says, Thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I. Yea, thine own lips testify against thee. So let's go to that video real quick and I'll close it out.
Now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The United States remains steadfast in its opposition and condemnation of historic wrongs that resulted from the transatlantic slave trade, the trans-Saharan slave trade, and all other forms of slavery. We remain committed to the acknowledgement that these historical wrongs. Despite this, the United States observes that the text of this resolution remains highly problematic in countless respects. Consequently, the United States cannot support the adoption of this resolution. We regret that the United States must once again remind this body that the United Nations exists to maintain international peace and security. It was not founded to advance narrow, specific interests and agendas, to establish niche international days, or to create new costly meeting and reporting mandates. This resolution does all three. The United States has defined long-standing objectives to the framing of reparatory justice and the duty of reparation for historical wrongs. While we acknowledge the horrors of the past, we do not accept this resolution's assertion that historical facts from the 15th through 19th century constitute violations of jus cogens, as the term is understood in contemporary international law. The United States also does not recognize a legal right to reparations for historical wrongs that were not illegal under international law at the time they occurred. In addition to its obvious legal problems, this resolution is also unclear as to who the recipients of reparatory justice would be. The drafters and supporters of this resolution seem to believe it is them. The United States strongly objects to the cynical usage of historical wrongs as a leverage point in an attempt to reallocate modern resources to people and nations who are distantly related to the historical victims. As stated at the outset of these negotiations, the United States also strongly objects to the resolution's attempt to rank crimes against humanity in any type of hierarchy. The assertion that some crimes against humanity are less severe than others objectively diminishes the suffering of countless victims and survivors of other atrocities throughout history.
And that's it. That's all I gotta give you. You know what I'm saying? Because these devils, man. You know what I'm saying? While at the same time, they exalt this situation, this fictitious situation that supposedly happened, all right, during World War II, all right, and they exalt that to the heavens, okay, and they say never again. They say never forget, all right, and to this very day, these people that they are co that they are also in agreement with in terms of voting down this resolution. Okay, this country that they call Israel, all right, to this day receives that very reparations, all right, that very form of reparations without question, all right, consistently. Their children receive it. Their women receive it. They're able to have up to 12 children, at least 12 children, all right, and benefit off of subsidies, okay, without question. And yet, when it comes to the actual people, all right, such a thing is not discussed. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the scriptures say what they say, and this is why they're about to outlaw this Bible. You know You know what I'm saying? So let me get this here. In the book of Psalms, chapter 73, starting at verse 5, it says, "They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily." You see? And these devils can never be held accountable to anything. All right? Why? Because this is under their rulership. This is their kingdom. You see? While you got niggas that's trying to defend them, you know what I'm saying, and try to go to bat for them, protect them and all that stuff, man. All right? This is how they feel about you niggas, man. You see what I'm saying? This is how they feel. This is Jeremiah. All right, Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 5. It says, "For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem?" Remember, Jerusalem is a people first before it's a place. "For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest?" You see? And go figure, this was a chance. This was a chance for these devils to actually own up to what they've done, all right, and be truthful and be honest before the world stage. This was their last chance. You see? And they chose not to. This is Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 10. All right, "Let favor be showed to the wicked. Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness." Okay, yet will he not learn righteousness? This devil can't learn righteousness. They can't learn righteousness. You see what I'm saying? From the least of them to the greatest of them. All right, and as the scriptures say, if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. You see? It says, "And will not behold the majesty of the Lord." Okay, in the land of unrighteousness, it's like in the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly. Okay, in the land of uprightness he will deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. They can't do right. You see, they can't do right, man. That's just how it is. That's how it's always going to be. They're going to continue to look down on you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Indians. All right? And it's only the Lord that's going to be able to fix this. Only he can do it. You see? Let me see if there's something else I want to grab. Let me end it off here. Amos chapter 1, verse 11. It reads, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom," the Edomites, you so-called Caucasians, you white folk, you see what I'm saying? Self-proclaimed white folk. All right, you are the children, the descendants of Edom. Okay? And those of the tares, you know what I'm saying? All right, you got Edomites that look like Israelites. Edomites that look like Moabites, you know what I'm saying? The same way the children of Israel were scattered, the same way these devils have planted their seed all over the place. Okay, in order to hide themselves. You see? For 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity. You see what I'm saying? Listen to his voice. Listen to his words, man. He's casting off all pity. Okay? He don't pity you. You see? He says that he does. All right? He says that. He speaks that. But that's not how they feel. And all those 50 plus nations that abstained, this is how they feel, man. they might as well have just voted no. You see what I'm saying? And did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. You see what I'm saying? You can't make a righteous thing. You can't make an unrighteous thing righteous. You know what I'm saying? That's what was that, Job chapter 14, right? Slocky. I wanted to end it off. Let me get this. Job. All right, 14. Job 14 and 4. It says, who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. You see? This is who they are. This is who they'll always be. And this is why they have to be demolished and eradicated. See what I'm saying? So I'm going to cut that there. I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. This has been your brother Zachariah Allah, branched out here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. In closing, I want to give our praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.